Welcome back to the FPS podcast. Everyone hates us. They all left.
They all left. It's just us now.
Shit. We did something wrong. Nah, they are all busy at the current moment, but there's actually a lot of news that we wanted to cover. Yes, we're going to jump
Lots of stuff.
right into the news with Actually, no. He's in a load of trouble right now.
Not that guy.
Don't open
Nobody
that can of
likes
worms.
that guy anyway.
But yeah, no, Rocket League. That's cool, right? We talk about that sometimes.
Well, we talked a little bit, actually, last one, kind of about the lack of communication coming from where the RLCS scene is specifically.
Yeah, and
we at least got a little something though.
Like an angelic presence was like, I see you
Clearly,
have.
so we caused.
You have asked. Here it is, just for you. And then they just rained down 10 tournaments out of nowhere, and I was like, God, okay, all right. That's good.
It's still not RLCS.
I mean,
which is something we wanted to see.
The thing about it is that now you have something.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
These guys that are grinding like 50 hours a week now are like, oh,
yeah,
now it's worth it.
Yeah, oh well, we can do stuff because now they have 10 tournaments. Not all 10, obviously. It depends on what you're looking for. Some of them are college.
Right. Yeah. Some of them are restricted to region.
But then some are also region. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at least you're getting something for these orgs that are representing teams that have something to at least kind of get their names in there.
Yeah, and it's all just slapped by Psyonix. It's like, yep.
Yeah, just like, here is all this money to throw towards it.
$300,000 dedicated towards tournaments for the next. If it's going until middle of July, I mean that's about a month and a half.
Yeah,
so
that's a lot.
That's quite a significant sum of money, and I think everybody's kind of motivated because of it.
Well, definitely. So I'd say, why don't we go ahead and talk about each one of these tournaments? We have a laptop here with the tournaments, and we can kind of talk about each one, our opinions, and I think I was going to say at the end we can just kind of say which one we're looking forward to most.
Okay. Yeah.
So we could start with the first one, I guess, is Codename Covert by Dazarin. Do you know anything about this one?
I do, actually, because this is actually going to be the first tournament popping up out of all of them time-wise. This one's coming up really quickly. You can register for this one on June 1st, I believe, was the date that they threw out. And it's the first 64 teams, so kind of first come, first serve. So you're going to see a big old bloodbath for I believe, 6-day event for $9,000.
That's crazy.
And it's pretty much first come, first serve. So if you have a team that's ready to go, I mean, I really would recommend you go for it because even though it's going to be a longer tournament, like your chances to make the money seems to be decent. I don't know what the spread is for it per se, but 64 teams, I mean, that's doable.
Yeah. Well, and even at that, like I would say probably for any of these tournaments, if you are eligible to compete, you should just get in there.
Yeah, especially if it's summer and you guys are done with school or
hanging out,
have a break from work or whatever. I mean, this is a great time to just put together a team.
Well, this is actually arguably probably one of the best opportunities to get your feet wet with competitive gaming for Rocket League specifically.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So many large scale tournaments all at once.
There's a lot of unproven rosters that I think are going to rise just straight out of the ashes out of this because this off season has been so weird lately just because, spring series happened, you got fusion happening, and it's just kind of like another one, now 10, and it's exactly. Oh, okay, now we're seeing stuff.
Yeah. Well, and that's where it's like, especially imagine some teams picking up multiple of these tournaments, winning more than one.
I foresee a lot of roster changes happening throughout all of these tournaments happening. So you might see teams that might have been weak towards the beginning be stronger towards like the middle of July. Yeah, and that's only a month process.
Well, so moving on to the next one. This is just also an order of the blog post that Psyonix did. We'll be sure to link that.
We have our little cheat sheet here.
Yeah, our little cheat sheet. So the next one's the Brawl 10K presented by Lawler.
Now I know that one quite extensively because this has happened so many times. Yeah. I mean, the Brawl has always been kind of an open prize pool based on who donates to it.
Yep.
But now Psyonix is like, I got it. So it's always been just such a good event. Now the Brawl previously was invited teams and then qualified teams. So I would assume that it's going to be the same format of like 8 that have been asked to join.
Yeah.
No qualification needed. You have your golden ticket, as to speak.
Definitely.
But the 8 that qualify is a bloodbath because everybody wants into those. So it's like huge qualifiers to get in, and you just see all these top teams just like whoever shows up, man.
Well, and even that too, coming from like Lawler, somebody who's just like always been super involved in the community, obviously since the beginning, from being a caster to his depart from the RLCS analyst desk, but still being involved. This was one of the things that he kept up with super well and consistently post his departure. So staying in the community, staying strong, and then now getting this awesome opportunity.
The transfer from like caster to tournament organizer seems like a really hard turn. So he's done it well in the past. Like he really, I watch his stream all the time, and he carries himself well on just like information basis when he's doing replay analysis for somebody. He's really good at keying in on certain things. So he has those tournament organizer traits that not a lot of people have.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I think he stands out pretty well.
Yeah, Lawler overall is a great guy too.
Oh yeah.
So
he knows what he's doing.
100% deserves this kind of rep, I suppose. And the next one, moving on, this is a European tournament.
Yes, the Euro Cup.
Yeah, the Euro Cup 10K, and that's presented by Lethamyr. So do you have any details on that one?
Well, I mean, obviously Lethamyr is not EU based, other than his
Canada.
Well, he has connections with Mouse.
Yeah.
As a coach, I know there's kind of banter on Twitter between if somebody who is coaching for a team can tournament organize with said team in the, but you see like a dissonance between like, how do you stack a team to win if you're just tournament organizing unless you like made a call that was like really out there?
Yeah, 100%.
I feel like no one would put their reputation on the line in that end if it's like really obvious it was scummy. Like, oh no, like my team is lagging, let me stop the match right now, before they score and not count it. Like,
exactly.
I see the fear for that, but it's a very minute case.
Yeah.
But the Euro Cup is it seems just like to be the brawl, like the EU version of the brawl. So that'll be fun to watch. I assume it's going to be like, I think I saw somewhere that it was 4 invited teams and then 4 qualified, so it's going to be just like a mini brawl, but with more payout for the teams that are actually there.
Yeah, 100%. Well, so then we move on to Johnny Boy doing the second Salt Mine.
Now, oh man, Salt Mine is so cool because it's one of those tournaments that actually rewards ones players.
Yeah.
And we have one of those in our house. I wish we could get his thoughts on it, but the Salt Mine, it's also, all these tournaments are just a bloodbath. I mean,
seriously, yeah.
Salt Mine is, I remember the last one just being so hype. And when Ranny heard about Salt Mine 2, he's instantly like, oh, I'm going to have to like triple my work production. And that's not saying he wasn't working hard before. He just wants in.
Yeah.
It's so hype and so awesome. And like to be a part of it is just like a huge thing.
So in case anyone who hasn't heard of like Salt Mine, so like what would be more of the specific details, since you said it plays to ones, if you want to go a little further into detail for that?
Extensively, I mean, this kind of threw me for a loop because I did not expect a Salt Mine announcement. It's been a while since the first one, so forgive me if I'm wrong on any of the details, but definitely 1v1 format the entire time. It's not Fusion where you go from 1s to 2s to possibly 3s, maybe 2s again, and maybe 1s again. You don't know. It's 1s the entire time. And it's just such a big pedestal for these guys that grind at an individual level without relying on others. I mean, for these prize pools to just be for one player instead of 3 is kind of like, oh, I'm good at this.
Yeah,
let me be the best then.
Yeah, certainly. Well, and then we have the Latin America Championship, and that's being presented by Rocket Street.
I don't know anything about that. Other than I believe that is a South American tournament.
I'm assuming that's Latin America, right?
I would assume that's like either Middle America or South America. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know Rocket Street personally.
Yeah, I don't know them super well, but here, it's clearly South American. But so it looks like it's just gonna be a South American tournament,
which is great because that scene needs funding and needs people to. It needs a tournament to like present a pedestal for those that are grinding the hardest.
100%.
Because now we have those teams that are making it to RLCS from South America.
Yeah.
And to make sure that you have those teams performing at their best, you need tournaments that fund players so they can survive.
Yeah, well, and even at that is like, that's something I've always talked about that I think's been really important or hard to get that grasp. I remember when the first season for RLCS, and they called it the World Championships.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, but it's only EU.
Yeah,
the World
Championship, right? But you're not giving everyone a shot.
Yeah, so we can see through this that it's kind of literally covering all of the world in different aspects, whether it's college students to like ones players like you're saying, different regions. So it's really cool to see this kind of thing come out. So the Latin American one is huge in my opinion, but it's really good.
And that was kind of my worry when I saw 10 tournaments, was that there were going to be a lot of small scale like NA and EU based tournaments, but there's a lot
like focused just to certain parts of the community.
You know, there's a decent amount that just is spreading out of the bubble, I would say.
Yeah, it's getting that good coverage.
Yes.
You know. Well, so then the next one moving on would be RLO. I'm assuming that's Rocket League Oceania.
Yep. That is
Grand Slam.
Over in the
RLO Oceania.
OCE type of thing. It's basically just another big tournament for the OCE scene.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
outside of the NA and EU bubble, it is now another tournament for that.
Yeah, exactly. So similar to Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, this is one I think a lot of people are really excited for. We don't really have a lot of details on this one yet.
Yep.
But the Summer Shuffle being presented by Beyond the Summit.
No details. I think I saw a prize pool somewhere around like 45,000. I want to say, which that'll get people interested
Get
pretty
some
quickly.
attention.
I don't understand what's going to happen because I feel like one of the main draws of Beyond the Summit was the in-person interactions between
100%.
pros.
So how are they going to do that
If
now?
they can I trust it, man, because that was one of the most lights out tournaments I've ever seen in my life. So if they can figure out a way to integrate it without, still having an online presence,
Yeah, 100%.
they have an idea, because I don't think they would do this unless they had something unique in mind. They
Yeah.
wouldn't just go back to the grain when they're so against it already.
Yeah,
So
100%.
I'm excited for details. We don't know anything yet.
Yeah, so we'll have to see about that one. But we've also heard this one familiar before. At least this one's brought to you by Rocket Baguette.
I've heard that name.
And this is Summer Grand Prix.
Obviously-
more details about that one?
Obviously more of an EU based thing.
Yeah.
I would assume that it's kind of similar to the Euro Cup, I would say. I really just don't know. Honestly.
I don't know a bunch of details
it's hard for
about
me
it.
to keep up with the EU scene just because I'm looking at the bigger ones, like the Euro Cup. That would probably be my top one for E EU.
Yeah. And I'm not very familiar with the next one actually at all, I don't think. And I don't know if you are either, right? But the next one being the Kickoff, and that's presented by APL
Now,
Esports.
there's a good reason they named it that, is because this would probably be the first tournament that I think I saw this, where it was the first tournament in the Asian / Middle Eastern scene.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So it's the Kickoff because you've seen teams like Sandrock Gaming before, where they're having to play on EU stuff and they're still like beating RLCS teams.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, there's good people out there in these regions.
Yeah.
So now it's like the Kickoff is like, here you go. Here's a tournament for you guys.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you've had such a disadvantage this whole time that, I believe that one was 45,000 too. Like, it's a significant
there,
amount. So
Yeah. Well, and even at that, is like kind of like I was saying, that covering the general area, right?
Yes.
The thing is, though, for RLCS even, we don't see Asian involvement, the Asian
Nope.
region.
Or-
So I
or
wonder-
Middle Eastern.
Yeah, I wonder.
Either.
I wonder if this would be a little bit of maybe a potential gateway
yeah.
for the future, right? If they can show up, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, it's just their tournament; they're not competing against EU or anyone.
I
but,
hope it
you
is
know.
not just an easy ticket to Sandrock, just dominating. I would like to see a showcase of other talent as well. That is my
Hopefully.
hope.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
More than likely, though, Sandrock is going to just show up.
Yeah.
Just because of what I've seen from them, they're amazing. But I remember, being on the west side of the U.S., we're closer to Japan.
Yeah.
And I've had a number of players that come over to West servers from Japan to play, and they have like 250 ping.
And they're nuts.
And they're incredible.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're wild.
I do believe there's talent over there just because I've seen it myself.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see that personally put in like a Psyonix sponsored format.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So seeing like that kind of like plus two is like maybe there's people who are good, they play the game, they kind of they're good at it, but they don't like feel like I don't want to like push it. You know?
Right, yeah.
But then again, you see that kind of prize pool ticked on there, you're like, okay, wow, I might want to actually get into this.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, if you get an opportunity, if this pushes for potential RLCS involvement or LRS involvement in the future,
Yes.
that I think would be next level.
And that's why it's appropriately named the Kickoff, because
Yeah.
I think they're hinting at
smart.
something there that maybe
This is
involvement in
the
the future.
beginning.
Yes,
Yeah,
this
the
is this is
beginning.
only the beginning, and I hope that's true.
Yeah. And then last but not least, by any means, we have the CCA Summer Series presented by College Carball Association.
Okay.
Which that one I know a good amount about.
Yeah, 'cause I don't know
I'm
much.
playing in it.
Yeah.
So we're playing in the qualifier on June 4th. I know that. It's gonna
June
be
4th, that's
it's gonna
coming
be a
up.
lot of fun. Well, so that's I think that might be the quickest one, if I'm right. I think that's the first,
Oh, that's the most immediate.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's the most
okay.
immediate with June 4th. All the other, the next one after that's covert at June 8th. But yeah, so this one's very, very, very similar to CRL, just faster. So it's going to be like an open qualifier to a league play, then a finals tournament. That's
Okay.
like what they're going to be doing it. So it's going to be same split regions.
Probably no
East-
LAN, I would assume.
Yeah, it's going to
Okay.
be same split regions though as East and West, just like CRL.
Hey.
So it's going to be pretty much the exact same concept, just with a fatter prize pool.
Hey, good luck,
Well,
man.
I think though too that I don't know. I'm not sure specifically about this detail because it's not CRL.
Okay.
It's CCA. So I don't think this funds as like tuition. I think this is just cash prize. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty confident that that might be the case.
I wouldn't know, honestly, because it seems like the main draw for college esports is that it pays for your college.
Yeah,
so
100%. I'm not too sure, again, specifically about that, if it's going to be a grant, but since this is kind of put together as a funding community tournaments, this might be different. I'm not sure, though, to be honest. But I think either way, that's still a draw. I believe it's $25,000. I think is the prize pool for that one.
Okay.
And I think anyone as a college student, though, you're just like, well, heck yeah, you know.
Nah.
And the other thing too, even about this, that's even a bigger deal. I also read the rules for it. They're allowing. I think this is actually really exciting and really unique. So they're actually allowing alumni from this past semester to compete, as well as, and this one's even the more kind of exciting part, incoming freshmen, as long as they can prove that they've committed to that university by league play.
Oh, man. And
so that one's kind of a really big deal. Because I know for us specifically at San Diego State, we have an 1800 player that's coming into San Diego State next semester.
Wow.
So he's going to be on our team playing with us, and that's really exciting for us.
Wow.
But I bet plenty of other temes have something similar. You know? So I'm really curious to see how that's going to play in.
I fear that somebody lies maybe and breaks the system a bit.
Yeah, apparently, at least from the rules that I've read, the way it works is like if you get into league play and you don't have proof of like you are enrolled in classes, like you are squared away to start the fall semester, your team's disqualified. So
I would,
that's at least the way they.
I hope they're thorough about it.
Because because the point right now is obviously some people aren't committed yet to colleges; they're still trying to decide. You know.
Yes.
But they said by league play, you have to have proof of like enrolled in classes for that class, like you are committed to this class or this campus. And if you can't provide that, then your team's disqualified. So I'm curious to see how that'll go. I really hope there isn't a lot of like shakiness with multiple teams that end up. No, I actually want to go with this school instead, and then like you see several teams disqualified. That'd be really unfortunate. But we'll just have to see how it goes. I think it's really tricky, but it's pretty unique though to offer alumni as well as incoming freshmen to be able to play.
I can see that being tricky, like big point where it's going to probably be a lot to handle. So as long as there's a good system in place, I feel comfortable with that.
Well, and it's CCA too. So like I was a part of the grassroots efforts of CCA that became CRL.
Right.
I was like a part of when there were only 30 schools in that Discord. 30 schools for CCA, and I think now there's over 1,000. But yeah, I remember being a part of that, and you know, there's a lot of love in that org they got going on there. So I think they'll take care of it. But it's definitely a good opportunity too for them, and they certainly earned it. They've been putting in all the time and effort and everything like that to make it happen. So out of all of these though, so which one would you say you're the most excited for? Do you have one that you're most excited for? It's hard. They're all really good in my opinion.
I'm hoping to coach for some of these, hopefully. Obviously I will not be competing because I'm not quite on the level of like RLCS and RLRS teams. What I'm most excited about, let's see.
You can pick two if you want.
Pick two. I mean, the two that stand out is Covert and Brawl, honestly, because I really feel like you could take people off guard on those.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Which is just the NA ones, obviously.
If I'm gonna exclude CCAs because I'm playing in it, because obviously I'm excited for that naturally. But I would probably say the kickoff for me actually.
Yeah, okay.
I really want to see that, like how again, like I've like same as you, I've queued into some of these crazy. Japanese players, at least for West servers, and they are absolutely insane.
They're always so nice.
They
just shit all over you and say sorry.
Yeah, right. Well, that's why I'm curious. So I really wonder if like we're gonna be able to see some stuff that we haven't like quite either seen before.
Yeah, unique like a new strategy or mechanics. I think it could happen.
Yeah, because I even remember back to when OCE became involved. And we saw very, very different dynamic.
People were not ready, and they were prepared for a certain play style, and that was either you were playing an NA team, or it seemed to be just play really fast, or an EU team that played really smart. So then all of a sudden you have combinations, and it's like, oh my goodness, I gotta prepare for both of that.
Well, that's where I wonder if they'll bring something new to the table that's going to stir things up, or will they be unprepared? You know, we'll be able to see that through comparison. So I think I'm the most excited for the kickoff. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I want to see if it's a blowout with certain teams that make like super teams, or if it's going to be kind of, you know, more of a crescendo into the better teams.
Yeah, definitely.
As opposed to like a cliff.
Yeah. Well, and then that's something too. That I think is a pretty interesting point to bring up is for the future, so past COVID, right? So Psyonix is shown a lot of interest in this. I'm curious if this was obviously potentially the only ditch effort for doing this was because RLCS is kind of in a big question mark.
I would say yes.
I would definitely say that's very likely.
Which is a good plan by them
Yeah.
because nothing is worse than being left completely in the dark. And
Yeah,
we
100%.
complained a lot about that, but now that we have this roadmap, it's like they're guiding our hand to another announcement. So
Yeah.
I feel like by the time all these are over, they're gonna be like, okay, we're ready,
Yeah.
and that's perfect.
Well,
that's perfectly
and
fine.
Even at that though, what my question is though, post COVID, regardless of RLCS,
Yeah.
what does it mean for this kind of thing in the future? Do we think that Psyonix might be looking to these kinds of smaller tournaments to be sponsoring? To kind of, to me at least, this is just my clear-cut opinion.
Right.
But this, to me, if I was an org that was organizing tournaments and I remember pulling out because it wasn't working out, this is the payoff. You know what I mean?
Right.
Getting a sponsored opportunity from Psyonix to be able to fund a massive tournament. That's the payoff, you know? So I wonder, though, if obviously they're not going to say, hey, we're doing this again.
Right, yeah.
But the thing is, though, would you start to see a lot more orgs? As I remember the golden days of small tournaments for Rocket League is
yes.
when there was several monthly $1,000 tournaments that altered every other week. So every week you had a $1,000 tournament. I don't know if you remember those days, but that was like with the
Yes,
PRL, Astro
yep,
League,
yep.
all of that, and you had $1,000 tournament roughly every week.
Yep.
That was insane, but you just don't see that anymore.
And it's lost.
Yeah.
And
So I wonder if this might fuel that in the future because people would want these opportunities if this is something they'd repeat. But I don't know. What do you think?
well, I have one issue with this list of 10, and that is most of them are either within the scene or just really focused around a certain aspect of only Rocket League. I mean, I remember going through Twitter the day they announced this, and I saw so much praise, but there was a little bit of criticism that came across that was, I reached out to you guys and I got nothing. And it just seems like it's a bubble where if you are completely dedicated to Rocket League, you're in. But if you do a lot of other stuff, it's kind of like, well, you got to wait. And not having that open door of communication to those specifically seems to have hurt a little bit. Specifically, I was reading it from some coordinator for DreamHack that they were trying to just we want to help, we're going to do an event, and they just said that it was ignored, and that's unfortunate because I really feel like that's a professional tournament organizer. That is something people want, and burning that bridge is hurtful. I mean, it's probably not gone forever, but it's just still
Damaging.
Yeah. I would prefer that if you're going to have all these tournaments that you at least let them know why you're selecting the 10 that you did, and everybody who approached you, let them know that, in the future there's still opportunity.
And obviously, too, that's if there's a future, right, for this kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Because obviously, my opinion then is if this was done in the future, obviously I think Psyonix just handpicked these ones, and there's no problem with that. But I think in the future, if they're going to do something where they pick 10 tournaments to fund, I think there could be some kind of application process, right?
Exactly.
You might see a little bit of repetition. But again, the idea is like we talked earlier about the Brawl being a purely crowdfunded tournament. And I think Lawler would throw some money into it, but then donations and such would increase the price pool.
And it hurts me to say it because I come from the community specifically where I'm very heavily involved, so this would benefit me mostly. But I see people on the outside that are just wanting to reach in and they can't.
Yeah.
So if you want to keep it in the bubble, I mean, it's good for everybody in the bubble.
Yeah, well, and even that, again, 100%, that none of these orgs or people they all deserve this opportunity.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they work so hard.
But yeah, again, I am curious that if this is something we'd see again in the future, if there was a little bit more of a opportunity, I guess, for like you're saying, people outside of the specific Rocket League bubble. Because I think for example, stuff like that would be like E-League. Forever ago,
yes,
whenever Rocket League wasn't
big,
a thing.
Big time.
But then look what that turned into. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think opening the opportunity to those things that maybe don't deal with Rocket League yet, but they could, Because what if, again, not that it's here, but let's say ESPN Esports as their company or their org, because there's a subsidiary or a portion of ESPN, was like, hey, Psyonix will give us $50,000 and we will televise and run a tournament. That's massive.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And they have done that.
Yeah, of course. So that's why I'm wondering if something similar along those lines.
Yeah, it's still a good
future,
idea. I mean, obviously, Beyond the Summit is not only focused on Rocket League,
Yeah,
so
that's a good
that is
example
a
of
stretch outside the bubble that
Which
is
is
helping.
good.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
I just want to make sure that there isn't similar cases to what happened to that one thing that I read, but I I don't know, because one of the big things with lands not being available is that now we don't have the option to extend to these on-site areas that were very catering and very helpful to the community, and had our own little section that we could go watch Rocket League at a huge event. Like, it's just not there right now.
Well, and even at that too. So another question for me, at least, is this is very. What's the latest this goes to? August, right?
It's looking like July 9th.
I see August 9th is the
latest. For CRL, CCA.
Yeah, that makes sense because that one's league play with the finals.
Who cares about that?
Yeah,
right?
Who cares about that one anyway? But so I see July for the other tournaments, right?
Yeah.
So obviously we still don't really have a timeline on the COVID stuff. We don't have a timeline regarding our LCS again.
Of course.
Who knows what we'll have in the future? But this seems like really densely packed. Do you think that's a bad thing, or do you think that's maybe a good thing and we're building up to some kind of announcement at the end of all of this?
It seems to be crescendoing to a focal point where it's just like, here is what's happening next. And I really hope so, because that makes me so like ambitious and ready for everything that's coming up, because if they're willing to do this, what's the next step? I doubt it's backwards. I doubt you just throw all this forward and then be like, see you, send it away.
Exactly. That would just be disappointing.
Yeah, no,
it's like literally like throwing the cheerleader up with the thing for do the perfect move, and then she just falls down and it doesn't look.
Because I think of like a whole investment of RLCS for like $1 million prize pool over the course of, I don't know how many months it is, like 2 or 3, not counting off season. Mm-hmm. And if you like do the math on it, that's kind of what this is over the same time period. If you were to like extend this to the same amount, it would probably be around the $1 million prize pool.
Yeah.
So they're investing this as if it's RLCS.
Yeah. I think it's 300,000 total. Yeah. Right.
300,000 over all the tournaments.
Yeah.
So what that's telling me is that they care about this just as much as RLCS.
Yeah.
At least value wise. Mm-hmm. And that just seems to be like a leading on to something else.
Yeah. Well, and again, we'll just have to see, because I wonder again what the plan would be to do for season 10 RLCS. Mm-hmm. You know, what would the goals be after that? So I wonder if, because again, CCA is a little bit excluded from that because it's not the pro scene, it's the college scene.
But there are pros.
So there are pros, yeah, 100%. But obviously that going the latest, I think, is a little bit different. You know what I mean? So you'd probably see it towards the end of the other tournaments.
I really hope so.
But you'd see maybe like towards the end of those events be like, hey, these are all done now. Here's our next thing. Because I also like mildly disagree with, roadmaps are great, but then you get a lot of people who say, oh, you said the one thing, but you didn't do it.
Right.
And then that's the focus. So obviously,
that's the fear.
Roadmaps are great and whatever, but I'm more curious if this is going to build up to some larger scale announcement, or at least preparation for what the future is for Rocket League esports, you know?
Because I'm still kind of waiting for the repercussions, or not repercussions, but like in a positive, I don't know what the positive word.
Love back, maybe?
Well, I think that
shockwave?
Yeah, we could call it a shockwave, like a positive shockwave happening because of the Epic acquisition, because I have yet to see resources pumped into esports for Rocket League
that are
yet
like crazy, yeah.
that pump it to proportions that's similar to like Fortnite or something, where I felt like those tournaments had so much resources and backing behind them, like to a degree where somebody could get 10th in a tournament and walk home with like $150,000, and that's insane. Because even if you got first at RLCS, I mean, your team probably would take home that.
Well, that's the thing too, is like obviously the more money involved in something, the more people are going to want to get into it. You know? So if you put Fortnite having such crazy prize pools, of course people are going to want to play that. Even if they don't like Fortnite, they're going to try.
They're going to play it. They're going to watch it. They're going to love it.
If you have Rocket League having multi-million-dollar prize pools and in crazy venues, you know, like I'll point to like League of Legends, for example, or Overwatch League. That does a pretty good job at it too. But like League of Legends having multi-million-dollar prize pools and their semifinals is in the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean?
I still think if everything was like cut into a third, like 100,000 spread over all this, people would still be generally happy with it.
Oh yeah.
But the fact that it's 300,000 is just it's making everybody just ecstatic. They love it.
So I'm hoping though, like with that increase, that with the future of whatever RLCS could be or look like, we could look at like, I'm just saying, it would be cool. Like at least, I don't know, 2 million. Like double the prize pool currently. That'd be nuts.
That would be insane. Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
And that would spark a lot of motivation though, for a lot of not just people and players, but orgs and sponsors. I think a lot of people would want to get in on it because they could see, hey, there's more money here. What can we do with it?
Because like usually what happens with RLCS is that money is reserved only for RLCS.
Yeah.
But now we have $300,000 that is for anyone who wants to take it.
Exactly.
So now at an all-time high, everyone is just like, I want to play. I want to win.
Need to be in this. Yeah, 100%. Well, and I think that's overall, I think this is good in general. I think by all means, it's all very good for the Rocket League esports ecosystem, certainly.
And you're going to see a lot of people coming together because now that we're nailing all these regions, you're involving like a centralized area of hype for each region, and then all of a sudden Worlds happens, and you're like, you just squeeze it all together. And it's
so it should be,
and that's great. I love that. Like,
so again, like I think my overall opinion for this comes to that this is fantastic, and I love it. I really just hope this isn't the Flex Tape Flex Seal on a leak that everyone's a little bit upset with the Rocket League esports scene, and then now everyone's very ecstatic. If this leads to nothing, or there's no follow-up rather, and follow-up could be just, hey, we're going to throw more money at more tournaments, and they're going to be like midway through the like fall winter, fine by me. That's still something, but just if there's nothing after this, that's going to damage like insanely, I think. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty patient with waiting for stuff, but if I get to the end of a tournament and there's no announcement for the next one, or just check our Twitter for the next 2 months, you never know what you'll see, and it's just like, okay, like.
Well, and even that, like we're saying that, like bring together is you're gonna have all of this, like I think like even like not in exactly a bad way, but you're gonna like just charge the Rocket League community with so much energy and motivation.
I agree with that.
And then it's really just going to be a bummer if you're shaking up that bottle and you're ready to throw it on the ground like the soda.
Yeah.
But then you just gently set it on the table.
Exactly.
And let it just...
And then you just unscrew the cap a little bit.
Like, and it just goes...
yeah. And you just watch all the hype die away.
And that would just be super disappointing. So I really, really, really hope that doesn't happen. But obviously, like even that is I can point to Psyonix. Corey tweeted that he was really happy about how this is good. This is something he's been really looking forward to doing, and he can't wait for what's next. That's what his tweet said.
Yep.
So I'm taking that a little bit in the way of like, hey, this is just the beginning. We'll see what is to
I would
come,
assume that there is nothing between this and RLCS 10. That would be my assumption.
Yeah.
Because how could there be? I mean, you're going to leave the pro scene out to dry until the next year?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's a good standpoint on it, that it's ready to go. Everyone's ready to go.
Yep.
And this is a good kickstart.
The engines are revving.
This gave enough battery that you can turn the key and turn it on.
Exactly. And then now the car just needs to finish the
now it needs
race.
gas.
And then junk food and a good playlist.
And lo-fi blasting.
Blasting lo-fi.
Blasting
Like,
Volume 100 lo-fi.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. We should make that.
Volume 1 lo-fi.
Yeah.
You can't even hear it.
Yeah.
It's playing right now.
Yeah. What? That's great. We should do that. All right. Well, that is a little bit over a halfway point. So we want to transition to our next.
Thing. Let's do it.
So this is more of our not video game, more laid back.
We've done video game. We've done Twitch. We've done YouTube. What else is there?
Lando and I and Amanda actually, we've been watching movies together every Saturday. What feels like 2 months, kind of with the quarantine stuff going on. So we've been watching movies together, so I thought it would be fun to kind of just talk about some of our favorite movies. And we'll also rope TV shows and stuff in there, but we'll start with movies, I think.
See, and here's where I'm not a big help is because I haven't seen a whole lot of movies, and I was just like, okay, we'll talk about this, but...
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, so I'm also terrible, and everyone's going to scream at me in the comments, but you're probably also in this too. Like, I haven't seen a lot of staple movies either. Like for me, for example, people say The Matrix is a huge staple movie.
That is one of my favorites.
I just watched that.
Yeah.
But like Pulp Fiction, we're actually watching that tonight.
Yes.
I haven't seen Pulp Fiction.
Neither have I.
I've never seen the first Alien.
I've seen Alien.
I'm trying to think of like other really crazy staple movies.
Have you seen Lord of the Rings?
I've seen
all of them.
Not all of them. I've seen a Lord of the Rings. I've seen Harry Potter.
Which one did you see though?
I don't know.
What happened?
The tower, and there's a ring that makes people go invisible.
The Two Towers.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that. I've seen that one.
Okay.
And what are some other like not like staple, but like movies people seen like Blade Runner. Never seen Blade Runner.
I've never seen Blade Runner.
I heard it's a cult film, I think.
People tell me that they have seen Shawshank Redemption.
Oh yeah, never seen that. I've actually never seen like Schindler's List. That's apparently a very good movie. I've never seen Rambo.
Now, I love Rambo, but that's only because my brother is obsessed with Rambo. He's like, he loves Sylvester Stallone, so I saw all his movies as a kid.
I've never seen Rambo. I'm trying to think. Before we get to my favorite movies, I'm trying to think of I haven't seen... I don't know. I think-
Well, you just recently saw the Matrix movies.
yeah, we watched all of them.
How did you feel about
So
it?
I liked the first one and the second one, but the third one just felt really confusing. I was like very unsure what was supposed to happen in
Yeah.
the whole movie. The first one was good though. I think the second one wasn't bad, but I think like without spoiling it, I think they set up a lot of like stuff. Whether it's like
It's like pulling the
philosophy
curtain,
and-
right?
Yeah, they set up like a bunch of stuff and then just didn't follow through on half
Yeah.
of it, and that was where I was just lost. I guess I was like, oh, okay, there's no payoff.
I don't know. I like the third
Okay.
movie, but the second one's my favorite.
Oh, okay,
I would say
that's good.
that car chase scene just
Yeah,
I
that,
love it.
like 18-minute action
yeah,
sequence.
no, it just
It's
never
great.
ends.
Yeah, I
You
know.
just
It
sit there like
keeps going.
yeah. It's great.
That's good. Well, I guess I could say my top 5 favorite movies.
Oh, it's gonna be hard for me. Okay,
At least I could say mine because I have this list
I
prepared.
was gonna like 5, 5,
yeah, and
4,
then-
4.
Yeah. Oh, you want to go up to the top?
Yeah, because then we can like talk
Yeah.
about them.
Okay. Yeah. So for my 5th one, I could start and then you can say
God,
yours, I guess.
because like
You
I have to
think.
start. I'm
Should I
going
talk
from
really
one
slow?
down.
Yeah, I got mine for sure. I've done this list before. Mine is I've actually flip flopped between 4 and 5, but I think for today's I'm feeling it. We'll put Drive as my 5th. favorite
Okay.
movie. Drive's my 5th. It's a weird movie.
I vaguely remember it.
Yeah, we watched half of it.
Yeah.
And I think we were drunk.
It was
and went
good
to bed.
though.
It's good.
I liked
it's very,
it.
very basic, but it's
Has a lot
kinda-
of tense scenes in it.
Yeah. It's a weird movie though. A lot of people don't like it, but that has Ryan Gosling in it.
Okay.
It's a very good movie in my opinion.
I have 1, 2, and 3. I'm trying to think of 4.
You
and
don't have
5.
to have 4 and 5. I can just do 4 and then get to 3, and we can do the thing.
Okay, that's
do that.
fine. Yeah,
Well, then my 4th one that flip flops with Drive is Inception.
that is a very good movie.
Inception's
That would probably just be
very up
right
there.
outside of my top 5 list, but it's still
Okay.
way up there.
Yeah, that's by far. I know people said it was like super overdone and crap like that, but no, I ate that whole thing up. I loved that entire movie. I've watched it way too many times, and I like Leonardo DiCaprio
Well, it's
a lot.
such a unique concept. I feel.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought of
liked
number
it.
4,
Okay.
Interstellar.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
your number 4.
that's my number 4.
Oh, okay. Do you want to talk about it all?
I mean, as much as like people are just like, oh, this is all bullshit. I hate some of these scenes. Like, this is good.
That's fair. I can respect that.
I like space stuff, obviously. So I like the idea that some extreme stuff can still happen in the void of space.
Yeah.
So I like that idea. That premise is really cool to me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, then third, mine or yours.
Go ahead and do yours.
So mine's a movie called Memento. I don't know if anybody's watched that movie.
I have not.
That's one of Christopher Nolan's earlier movies,
Okay.
but it's really great in the way that it's a movie about a guy who has short-term memory loss from an accident. So
Okay.
he tattoos important reminders on himself, but then he takes pictures of things to remember it. But then so he'll like wake up and like try to make sense of his memories. But the movie's really unique in that the way it plays. Well, for you, I was just trying to think of the way it looks through the camera. But for you, the way that it plays is backwards is in color, but the scenes go like trying to think of the way this looks for you. They go this way, like it'll play a scene here like this, and then it'll play a scene here and catch up to that scene.
Okay.
And then play a scene and catch up to that scene, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So every time when a scene ends, like after you see the first color scene, after a scene ends, it catches up to a scene you've already seen. It's a lot of synonyms or whatever. But then the other part of the movie plays in black and white, and that's forwards. So the movie does this, plays a scene, then plays a scene, plays a scene, plays a scene, plays a scene, does this all the way to the middle, and the middle is the end of the movie.
Okay.
So it's really unique, and I like it a lot.
Huh?
Super good movie. And that actually has Trinity in it from the Matrix.
Oh,
That
yeah, I
actress
don't know
is
her
in that.
name.
Yeah,
I don't know
name.
her actor's
But
name.
that actress is in that movie.
Okay.
So, very good movie. It's by far, it's number 3 for me.
All right.
How about you?
My number 3. Why did I just forget? Oh my
Unbelievable.
goodness.
You should have wrote this down.
Yeah, you should have. I'm so forgetful. Why am I forgetting?
Have space in it.
I know it's an action movie.
Western.
No. Oh my god, I
Am I
feel
not
so
helping?
dumb. Why would I do this? I remember 1 and 2 and not 3.
You just don't remember.
I don't
3.
remember 3.
Well, you said The Matrix. You said Interstellar.
Uh-huh.
No, you didn't say The Matrix. You said Interstellar, and you didn't have a 5th. Should I move on to 2 and then we come back to you?
Yeah. I'm forgetting. I really
You're
am.
good.
Why
You're
did I
good.
forget? Oh.
Well,
I was so invested in this like weird plot to Memento.
yeah, right. Sorry, I
It blew my
distracted-
mind, and now I forgot my whole
I
life.
mean, we can also watch it tonight.
I'm
if you
turning
want
into
instead.
Memento.
We can watch that instead. Of
I've
Pulp
been here
Fiction.
before.
Yeah. Memento's such a good movie. Sorry. My second favorite movie, though, and this is one that I'll probably get yelled at a lot for, but for me, it's La La Land.
Okay.
Because I do enjoy musicals, but it's a pretty unique movie, but I also like that it's pretty real, I guess, in the sense that it's like a love story, but without spoiling it, it's not.
It's so real. Everyone just dances
Yeah,
and
exactly.
sings all the time.
It's like a Disney movie, but it's in the way. What I mean by real, and it's like, it's in the way that it's not like, no, they're in love, so everything's perfect. It's like, no, there's a lot of struggling and hardships, and you see that, and you see how they deal with it, I guess, is the best way, and it's realistic. It doesn't make it make sense because you want it to. So, and it's one of those movies that maybe doesn't leave the viewer happy, but it's just overall a good movie. And I like jazz, so I'm obviously biased to liking it. So
I can't fucking remember my third.
Can you remember your second?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
The Matrix. It was the second Matrix.
So, which Matrix though?
Oh, I remember my third now. I knew it.
All right. What is it?
Casino Royale, the Bond movie. I like that one a lot.
Oh, okay.
I like gambling and I like action, and they just like
Together.
like here's a movie for you.
Yeah, this is literally made for
Yeah,
you.
So
Okay,
I know a lot of people. I don't even remember the actor's name anymore for those Bond movies.
Gregory Peck. I'm just kidding.
That guy. Yeah,
No,
that
it's
one.
not him. I know who you're talking about. I forget his name.
Yeah, I forget names so easily.
Yeah.
I'm a face person, just like everyone else.
Facebook.
Yeah, and there's not a person alive who can't remember a face. But yeah.
So that, and then your second one is The Matrix.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's just the Bond movies, man. I love them.
Yeah,
I love them.
you like
so
all
much.
the Bond movies.
I've
right?
seen all of them, man. I
Yeah.
love them. Just I don't know. It's just something about like insane shit happening and just being composed, I guess.
Yeah, handling it, I guess.
And yeah, and also on top of that, it's just very fancy things.
Yeah. Suits and
Yeah, suits and
yeah, not Austin Powers.
everyone's eye is kind of on him because he's
Yeah.
doing everything right. It's cool. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like
cool.
it. It's
I
cool,
like
you
it.
know.
Your opinion's wrong, but it's alright.
And he's taking down terrorists in the meantime.
Why would you ever do that?
and making millions of dollars gambling.
Well, my number one favorite movie, ironically, is your fourth. Mine's Interstellar. My favorite of all time is
I love
Interstellar.
Interstellar.
So to me, Interstellar is actually really good for a number of reasons. It's just the movie's just beautiful,
Okay.
in my opinion. Like the cinematography and the way it's shot is just perfect to me. Matthew McConaughey did a phenomenal job as an actor for that. He nailed his role. But then overall, my favorite thing about it is it takes something that you would think is science fiction, and the theory stuff isn't science fiction. Those are real theories. They're just their interpretations of those theories. But like, it's not. You would think it's a science fiction movie, but it's not a science fiction
It's
movie.
very visual.
It's very possible that all of that could be like happen. You
Yeah.
know, they use tech more or less that we deal with. The freezing stuff, like when they sleep, whatever, is not really. But like, I think how far in the future is it? It's like 50 years or something in the future.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
But you know what I mean. So the point is, though, it's like it's just close enough for somebody that's like, ew, sci-fi. That's for nerds. You
Yeah.
know, it's just close enough for somebody that it doesn't like that stuff, but would be like, okay, I could try this movie.
Well, it's the blend between science and art, right? You're taking what people are theorizing and then throwing them at people who make stuff like in their heads, and then they just combine this thing into the movie Interstellar, and there's so much art in it as well as science, and it just kind of makes this ball of awesomeness.
Yeah. Well, and even that is like they explain things that are science in like really complicated ways, but they explain it in more simplified terms to a viewer to at least follow what's happening in the story.
Right, yeah.
You're not like, oh, what the hell is going on? Like, I'm so lost. You know what I mean? The best example of that for me is like when, again, spoilers if anyone wants to watch this movie, but whenever they go on the planet and the time differentiation is, because the gravity's stronger, closer to the black hole. But like the way they explained that, like why it's a risk, why they should be careful of it, you know, and then even those like dealing with that, but like the fuel conservation and all their stuff, like they explain it so well that you're like, oh, okay, I'm on board with this. Like I can follow it. But then even that, like, sorry, I'm just like about to go off this movie.
No, go ahead.
But like subtle things too. That scene though, when they say, I think it's like 7.5 years or something like that is an hour on that planet, or something like that. But at every, I forget what it was, but like at every 7.5 minutes that pass during that scene, you hear a tick on like a watch to like let you know 7 years, like this amount of time has passed.
Yes.
For the back home. Like, so it's like the relativity stuff, but like lets you know like this is how much time is passing. If you pay attention, like that stuff's there. So it's super cool. So I like that a lot.
It's a very meticulous movie because they really pay attention to detail.
Well, and it's Christopher Nolan. So same. There's a lot of stuff in Inception too. That's
and
very
the
similar.
music is phenomenal
Yes.
because it's Hans Zimmer, and Hans Zimmer really pays attention to detail and just really knows how to nail emotion. And I love music in movies. So that's...
Yeah, that scene too when he's watching the playback of stuff. Matthew McConaughey. Scene,
yeah, it's
so,
extra emotional.
Rips your heart out.
Because
it's so good
with both his acting and the music playing and kind of like the plot. I would say it's just it's incredible.
So what would be your favorite movie after I ranted about how good that movie is?
As much as you like serious sciencey stuff, my favorite movie is very stupid, and it's accurately named Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, really?
My favorite movie of all time. I actually haven't seen it in a bit, but I used to have this tradition that I would watch it like 3 or 4 times a year just because it's so good.
Interesting.
I mean, Jim Carrey, you can't go wrong with.
Yeah, definitely.
That's like I feel like that's just peak Jim Carrey because like it was like right when he was getting those roles like early on, Ace Ventura, all that.
Oh yeah.
And then that just kind of it just ascended his personality. He's like, well, can I just take it up another notch? And then Dumb and Dumber happens.
Yeah.
And he does, and it's just like the writing in Dumb and Dumber just throws everything for a loop.
Yeah. When actually I think somebody in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you want to hear the most annoying sound in the world? That's improv. I don't think that was scripted.
No, he
just made that up.
They were just driving, and the scene was just to him to be uncomfortable, and they just drive along the road, and he's like, "Hey." He embodied the character so well that he made like one of the most iconic scenes just from scratch.
Yep. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, so then. Since we've gone through our top movies, I don't know if you can think, maybe not specifically to your top movies, but do you have any favorite moments in movies or favorite scenes from movies that just like stand out to you that are like, oh, I love this so much?
Funny enough, when we were talking about the Two Towers for Lord of the Rings, I don't know if you've seen this, but do you recall a name called Helm's Deep?
Yes.
Helm's Deep is like the fortress that's like the last remaining fortress for Rohan, and they gathered everybody in there. They're stuck. And then this massive army is there, and they all start like throwing their poles into the ground to be a scare tactic. And there's one archer they recruited that's like really, really old, and he's trying to hold the arrow because they're all ready to just lay on a volley, and he accidentally lets it slip, and he just nails one right in the fucking like neck.
Oh damn!
And he falls over, and then the war just begins.
Oh damn!
And I love that scene because it just shows that like the human side was really desperate that they have to recruit everybody.
Yeah.
And then this other side is just ruthless.
Yeah.
And it was a good emotional point because it's raining. There's not much sound other than them staring at each other, and then you just hear an arrow whiz.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that's cool. I'm kind of like a sucker for scenes that are improv, but not like comedy, like just scenes that just worked out so well that they kept it. There's like very famous ones, like for example, I think the "We're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat" from Jaws. That's an improv line.
Okay.
I don't think that was scripted. That was an improv line. One of my favorite improv scenes, and for anyone who's seen Django Unchained, which we watched recently as well, that's by far, to me, like in any cinema thing, one of my favorite scenes ever is, again, spoilers if anyone hasn't seen it yet, but there's that part when they're at Candyland, and Candy finds out that they're there to get the girl. They're not there for the boxer guy.
And he's angry.
Yeah, and he's angry, so he like smashes his hand on the ground or on the table, like, and gets the guns pointed at him and everything like that. And he's like goes on with the scene, and his hand starts bleeding, and it very much looks like, oh, okay, that was supposed to happen.
Yeah, he probably
because he ends up like through the scene, like it intimidates the girl by like wiping his bloody hand on her, and you're like, oh, this like totally looks like that is that. And then I found out later that no, he actually cut his hand during the scene.
Yeah,
like, actually cut his hand on accident.
Yeah.
So he's actually bleeding, and he just rolled with it, and he wiped his actual blood on the girl, and she's like really like kind of disgusted and freaked out and like shaking, and I think she's like genuinely like, what the hell are you doing?
And
like
that's not
and
a
it
scene.
almost stayed in character.
That's not a scene with many cuts either. So it's like there's no opportunity to be like a split second. Like, should I keep going? Like, there's just.
Yeah, they just
seamless.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely seamless, and that's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's nuts.
I'm trying to think of other scenes that I might have pondered on.
That are like favorites.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that one for the Django one stands out to me specifically. Let I'm trying to think of there's.
Well, something that like dominated my childhood was that lightsaber fight in episode 1.
With Darth Maul.
Yeah, like I, being a very impressionable child, I saw that and was just like, okay, this is what we're doing for the next 5 years.
Yeah,
our free time is trying to reenact that fight.
Yeah, that's true.
And you just see all these kids running around the playground, and you're just like, oh, they're just having fun. But little did they know that we were Jedi flying through the air,
Yeah, exactly.
kicking each other, but it was just like giggling children the whole time.
We can maybe go back through our top 5 real quick and do this, but I want to reference one for a movie that I liked. Whenever we went into me and Art Furtive, we all went to go see the Star Wars with the Live Symphony, episode 5. Furtive asked a really good question I thought was actually pretty interesting, was when you hear, like, for that movie, it was Star Wars episode 5, what was one scene when you hear that title, like what pops into your head? For me with episode 5, but we can go back through our top movies.
Okay.
But for episode 5, for me was when Luke shows up and Vader's standing on top of the carbonite area where he's just standing there. It's like he's a silhouette pretty much. And then that scene to me is just like what stood out whenever I heard of that movie. So going back through our top 5, we could start at our lowest movie. So for me, for 5, which you didn't have, but for me with Drive, I think very specifically to a scene where he has a hammer and he breaks that guy's hand and he takes the bullet and he puts it in his mouth and he's about, or no, he puts it on his head and he's about to hit the bullet into his head. That scene is like what I think of for probably when it comes to Drive. But your 4th movie, do you remember what your 4th movie was?
No.
You know, I honestly... Oh, it was Interstellar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for yours, what would be, like, what scene from Interstellar stands out to you?
I mean, it's going to be a cop-out because it's everyone's favorite scene, but the docking scene, I still think that music is probably my favorite. I always just bring up that music probably once a month just to listen to
when
it.
It's spinning.
When it's spinning, yeah, and he has to match the spin. And it's just... It's just maximum, like, pressure,
intense,
and it's like it's not so much that it's like a horror movie type of like anxiety, but it's like you feel like really glued to the TV or whatever definitely. You're watching it on, and you want to see what happens because it's just like the music is so intense, and there's like this resonating like yes point to it all, like. And I don't know, I've never really had that feeling with any other movie where it's just like I'm so interested in what's happening and it's like
yeah, definitely.
So that one strikes me. If I hear that music, I have to listen to the whole thing.
For sure. I think for me, being Inception, I think for me the standout moment is the very end. So I don't want to spoil it, but he ends up. I know, right? I'm spoiling everything. Again, spoiler alert. But he spins his top.
Yeah.
That like. Zoom in on that top there. That specific scene, I think, is what I think of for that movie.
Well,
because I remember talking about that forever.
Everybody did. I mean, it was just
because you wanted to know what happened. But yeah. So I remember that. That's for me what would stand out. But so, what about the third, which I think for you was it The Matrix? I honestly don't remember.
No, Matrix was 2. So 3 was Casino Royale.
Oh, okay.
Trying to think of one. Yeah. So. It's so hard to not like spoil the whole movie, but
you just say spoiler alert, and there's the timestamp, so people can skip ahead.
Right. There's one. It's so funny because like Bond gets captured after he wins a casino duel. He wins, and then they strip him down naked and they start torturing him, and it's a very intense scene where they just like they go into torture.
Yeah.
And the villain has this rope and he smacks him
underneath.
He cuts out the bottom of the chair so he can smack his testicles around.
Yeah.
And Bond just starts laughing, and he's like, "Why are you laughing?" He's like, "I don't get it." And he's like, "The world's gonna know that you died scratching my balls." And it's the funniest thing because you went from just like such an intense scene, where he's getting tortured, and all of a sudden it's just like a very comedic moment, and he keeps hitting him in the balls, and he keeps like berating him as he's smacking his testicles around. Awesome. It's so funny.
Well, for me with Memento. Again, spoiler alert. Sorry. But the black and white scene that plays, there's a big one where he's just kind of doing his thing, but he wakes up and he has tattoos all over. But he wakes up with like what looks like a fresh tattoo on his leg, but he hasn't like dealt with it yet. Then he gets a phone call and he answers the phone. So like you're probably like an hour and a half into this movie, and he's on the phone for like all of the black and white scenes. He's on the phone talking to, you don't know who it is. He's just talking to somebody. So he's sitting there doing his stuff and getting a short-term memory loss, so he doesn't remember what this is.
Yes.
And he like keeps picking at it, but he doesn't take it off. And then eventually, like, he's like setting something up and doing something, and he needs to like remove this so he can like do another tattoo. And he removes it, and it just says "Never answer the phone." And it's like an hour and a half into the movie, and he's been on the phone the whole time.
Oh my god!
And you're just
yeah.
like, what the fuck? Like, we're like, what? So like that's the thing to me is like seeing that "Don't answer the phone" tattoo.
Okay.
That to me is the big moment for that movie. So that for me is probably what stands out.
Okay, all right.
So for Matrix,
I mean, I already said it for my favorite
chase,
scene,
yeah.
but yeah, the chase scene, man.
is there any part of that chase though? That's just like yes when you see it.
I mean, when Trinity finds the motorcycle, it just amps it up to another level because it's already a super intense scene, and then they're trying to get away, and Trinity finds the motorcycle and decides that, you know, we're gonna buy time as opposed to try to escape. Which is the weirdest thing because you just assume they're trying to get away no matter what, and then they just turn around, and it makes no sense. But they're just like, instead of escaping it, we're gonna just confuse them and buy time. You don't really get why in the movie, and without spoiling it, because I'm not gonna say what happens, but everyone dies at the same time. But yeah, no, it's just a really cool scene because it's just amping up you're just like, there was a lot of action. Should have been a resolution there. Why are we going right back into it?
Yeah, definitely.
And then there's just action, and if you want that, it's great.
Yeah, 100%. So then that was that for the second one.
Yeah, so your favorite now.
Well, so that was our third. So this is our second, right? Or my second. I didn't say my second.
You haven't said your... Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but so for mine, which is La La Land, honestly, it's like a really lame part of like the movie in most people's opinion, but it's just for Ryan Gosling singing City of Stars on the pier. Right there outside the lighthouse. If anyone's seen that movie knows what I'm talking about. That's an actual bar and that's an actual pier. So you can like go there. So I've definitely been there, right? I've gone to that bar, but then I remember going on that pier, and it's just like a really cool part in the movie, just kind of setting the scene, I guess. And it's really cool to be able to go there too. So I think of that because I've been to that pier numerous times. So that's a really cool part for me.
Awesome.
So number one.
Yeah, my number one with Dumb and Dumber. I'm trying to think of a good scene. There's just so many of them. I'm dying laughing that whole movie. I think the funniest thing in it is that Lloyd has this fascination with like this girl he just met at the airport, and that's the whole plot of the movie. Is he just has this fascination with her, and Harry's dumb enough to just believe that he's being kind enough to like go find her to return an item she lost.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Why not? But there's this kind of like key point where, again, there's a big mood shift where they're all captured and they're all like handcuffed, and Lloyd just starts shit talking everybody. He's this happy-go-lucky guy, and he just shit talks everybody, and then he sees his best friend get shot, and he just goes back to being like sad and terrified. So from like sad and terrified to being an asshole to being sad and terrified again, and then Harry's not actually dead, and he's back to being happy. It's just like
crazy.
It's so funny because you just don't expect that, because the whole movie, like literally 99% of the movie is just crazy like funny stuff happening. It's just really serious for like 5 seconds. Like
that's awesome.
I love that. I don't know.
And I think for mine being Interstellar, is him watching the messages back. I think by far, because like it helps like set really like what's at stake for the individuals.
Yeah,
you know,
the cost.
It helps like what was it worth? It wasn't just like, oh, okay, woo, like we messed up, whatever. But it was like, this is like was an impactful thing. You know,
the
and
trade.
That's by far one of the most well acted scenes in that movie.
Yeah, the trade was amplified.
Yeah.
So because of the error.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, so that's what comes to mind when I think of Interstellar is probably it's actually either between that or when the second wave is coming on that planet and they have to get is it? I think I'm forgetting the name. The Ranger, is that what they're called? The little planes. But when it's like rides the wave, pretty much. Like, you know, talk about that scene. Fucking nuts.
I don't know.
Range Rover. It's a car.
Yeah, it's a Yeep.
Yeah, Yeep. But yeah, that was between that and the messages. But yeah, so that's all of our stuff about movies.
Yeah,
we didn't even do TV shows. We'll say that for someone else.
We were gonna dig into TV shows, but We just spoiled every movie for you on
Yeah.
on the
Well, now you guys
planet.
have so much quarantine content to watch as long as you
Now you
listen
can watch
to any
the
of the
other.
spoilers.
Now you can watch the other 99% of all the movies
That we
that
just
we
talked
haven't
about.
spoiled. But
Yeah.
the best scene, you now know
Yeah,
about.
you
So,
now you'll be like, oh, that's the one that Lando talked
So
about.
where our reaction was like, oh, you're just gonna be like, oh,
Yeah, that's right. No, they'll be like, oh, that was the one he said. So I like it too. Yeah, that'll be good.
Imagine you did that. Like, spoiler alert! Right before we watch this movie, this happens. Okay, we're
All right,
watching.
everyone better be excited during that part, and if you're not, I'm turning the movie off.
This is my favorite scene. If you don't like it, I hate you.
He just throws it or like drink at the freaking TV, cracks it.
Well, that was episode 7, right?
Yeah.
We did it.
The Last Jedi.
Yeah, we did it. Yeah, we'll
Force
probably have more to discuss with tournament starting.
Yeah, we talk about
next week
how they're doing and stuff.
and
they're
other
going.
stuffs, but yeah,
How easily we lost CCA.
yeah, you better tell us. You better be a prime example.
We're gonna lose.
Champion, woo! He comes in with like $100,000. He just starts, and the whole podcast is him hitting ones the
The whole
entire time.
Yeah.
No, episode 7 is now in the books. Wah, wah.
Woo.
All over. But
On to
hey,
the next
next
one.
week will be 8. I know. I can
Wow.
count upwards. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
not
yeah,
backwards.
thank you for listening, guys. And if you made it this far, let us know what you want us to talk about. Put in the comment down below. Say, hey, I like this. Talk about it. Because hey, if you stuck it around this long, I mean, that's pretty impressive. I'm impressed.
Yeah, and actually, too, hearing a lot of just feedback in general from everyone has been
It's been
pretty
good,
nice.
yeah.
A lot of people say they really enjoy this, and I appreciate hearing
appreciate
that,
you
and,
guys. Thank you.
So thank you, especially people who've made it all the way to the end. Thank you guys for watching it and listening and checking it out. It's been a lot of fun.
So stay safe and stay happy, and we'll catch you on the next week. Bye.
watch the movie.
Watch movies.
Ah.